how about we take the guy with the question about raising kids?
Okay, sure.
All right. That would be Kevin in Seattle. How are you doing?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Russell.
Hi, Kevin.
I'm Jen. Yes, I have a question about raising a child from that point of view. Having been raised a Mormon in Utah, where I was very much indoctrinated from a very early age, and that really made a train wreck of my adolescence, with the guilt and being told I was elite and always running against my own inadequacy is to live up to that. And it really, I really had to come to grounds and face the fact that I really feel that indoctrination is just outright abuse because of that, because it really does. I think all children, perhaps, some children are better able to cope with that conflict, but I wasn't, and it really led me to, some really bad things. But being a parent as an atheist, then, how do you handle? And now I'm becoming a prospective parent. My significant other are thinking about having a child.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, congratulations.
Well, thank you. And I'm wondering, and I know you both have some experience in this. As a child explores and starts to question you about God, and how do we handle that when maybe they start to, as they grow up and maybe other children have influence on them, other friends, maybe they even try to convert them. How do we, just maybe some advice or maybe some of your own thoughts on how we would handle that? Do we run a risk of trying to indoctrinate our own children in our own, prejudices? And but at the same time, having been down the road I am, it seems sometimes that risk might somewhat be good. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Do you want to go first?
Well,
I know we'll both have opinions.
Yeah, my son is actually too young to be asking questions about religion right now. We haven't told him anything about religion, so he's completely unaware that there's anything like that out there. Remember, this is the kid that 2 months ago thought the big bad wolf was real, so this is not a topic that I think that a 3-year-old is prepared to deal with. And so, we're going to let that ride for a while. We don't have any family members close by who are religious, and so we don't have to worry about family members attempting to indoctrinate him or anything. But one of the things that I recommend is get a book by Dale McGowan called Parenting Beyond Belief. It's really good. I think you'll find some valuable things in there. And I can just tell you from my perspective, what I plan to do is when he's older, we're going to explain about religious beliefs. And we'll actually start a little introduction of that this year around the holidays, because this is really the first year that he's old enough to understand there's something really big going on at the end of December. So we want to start explaining to him that around this time of the year, lots of people all over the world have celebrated different things, and we'll talk about all those different things. And, that, oh, by the way, some people believe that some of these things really happened, but we don't think that. And then, at some point, he will have the ability to make his own mind up about that sort of thing. So anyway, that's the plan. We'll see how it works.
Okay. If I can toot my own horn for a second, I would recommend that you go to atheist-experience.com and look through the archives, because in episode 490 I actually did an entire show on atheist parenting. Don't know if you were aware of that.
Oh, no, that'll be cool.
Okay, so you can probably catch that on Google Video still. The short version is, my son is 6 years old, but also I have 2 teenage stepdaughters, one of whom turned 18 not long ago, and the other is just shy of being an adult also. So, I have some of my own perspectives. I'll just focus on the 6-year-old, although the older ones had some experience with being pressured by their friends in school to join their church and things. But with my young son, I actually started pretty early, not talking about religion, but also like playing a little game with him that we called real and pretend. And basically I would ask him about something, like, a character like Superman, and he would tell me if it was real or pretend, or the President of the United States, and he would say it's real. And so, I got him sort of practicing this critical thinking, and when he got it wrong, I would explain to him. I mean, like Superman, he could tell that cartoons aren't real, but when you see Christopher Reeve, he looks like a real person. So I had to explain special effects and things like that, and it helped us explore areas where it's possible to be gullible. When the question of God comes up, I'm actually really cautious, because I always say some people think that he's real, and we don't. But you have to make up your own mind. And he's actually going through a phase right now where he's decided, I mean, at first he was like, I'm an atheist because you two are. But now he's going through a phase where he thinks heaven might be real, and I ask him why, and he thinks about it. So, I mean, he's kind of agnostic. But I trust him to make good decisions, so that's part of it. Let's see. So I could, to touch on what we were talking about earlier, I could see myself as an atheist just saying, there is no God, that's stupid. And I could see a Christian family coming and saying, that's abusive, you shouldn't take that extreme position where you tell him what's real because his eternal soul is at stake. And I would probably actually advise an atheist parent against taking that approach, but I certainly wouldn't say that they shouldn't be allowed to.
Yeah, and I don't want to tell my son what to believe. I would much rather let him come to that on his own, because he'll be much more secure in what he believes if he comes to it on his own than if I just give it to him. If I give it to him, somebody else can come along and give him something worse.
Right.
So I would rather him make up his own mind. And it
of course,
fosters critical thinking.
Bear in mind that it doesn't matter if you have specific family members who will pressure a kid, unless you keep your kid in a bubble.
Right.
They're going to run into many of the 80% of people in America who specifically believe in the Christian God.
Right.
So another thing that I was going to mention is, fairly early on when I was reading Ben's stories, I read him the Bible, along with all the other imaginary stories that I was reading him. So, I mean, I would read The Cat in the Hat one night and then Noah another night. And so that kind of factored into our game, where he would have to identify whether something was real or not.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I
Interspersed fairy
recommend
tales.
it.
Yeah.
They're actually pretty bad stories, but,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I can see him not getting really attached to that one.
right, which is a good kind of inoculation activity.
Yeah.
I think you've made some very good suggestions, and I'm really interested in trying some of these out eventually, of course, in the future.
Okay.
But one thing also, when we talk about abuse, I guess I think the most important thing is that even if a child is as a child, I was a questioner. I was always a skeptic, I think, in nature, and that led to a lot of conflict between my parents, and led to a lot of the bad things, a lot of the guilt and everything like that. It was because I was always going against my own nature. And I suppose if, as an atheist, I had a child who was predisposed to believe, I would have to surrender my own interest in that way, and have to just give him the unconditional love and support, and be willing to do that. And I wish that we as a country would have more of that attitude of being a lot more open to our children's freedom, and even if that means going against our own belief system.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thanks a lot for calling, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm glad that helped a little.